We're only a few days away from the release of Final Fantasy VII on Switch, and while that news may not be all that exciting for many, I am over the moon to have such a revolutionary title on a Nintendo platform. In the mid-90s, I was a big fan of Final Fantasy, but with high school preventing my ability to earn an income, I was forced to settle on one console. Having been a devout follower of the cult of the Big N at the time, I purchased a Nintendo 64. The internet was in its infancy back then, so I had no idea the decisions that were going on behind the scenes at Square, and was blissfully unaware of the ramifications. Instead of bringing back painful memories by recounting the events of the mid-90s, I'd rather reminisce about what I ended up playing instead. Prior to the release of Final Fantasy VII on the original PlayStation, I was having a grand old time playing GoldenEye, putting in countless hours until I had beaten every mission in 007 mode. Then, September comes around and brings news that Square has jumped ship to Sony, leaving me with nothing but doubt over my choice of console. After some initial frustration, I eventually found solace in Diddy Kong Racing, a title that was fun at the time, but maybe it hasn't aged all that well looking back at it today. That Christmas, however, I still remember the game that Santa Claus left for me, Wayne Gretzky's Hockey 98. Now, for the non-Canadians and the non-Sega owners, this was a big deal where I grew up. Looking back, it may not seem like a fair trade-off, but I still have no regrets over my request. Between Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, and yes, even Wayne Gretzky's, the Nintendo 64 still has a special place in my heart. Even though I've played and beaten Final Fantasy VII's in the years preceding, I'm still thrilled for its release on Switch. Whether you love it or you hate it, Final Fantasy VII was, and still is, a revolutionary title that changed the landscape of video gaming. Square showed us what the future of video games would look like, and if only for its historical significance, I'm happy it's coming to the Nintendo platform. You can be sure that Nintendo World Report will have a review of Final Fantasy VII on Switch shortly after its release. For an in-depth discussion of the history and quality of the port, make sure to subscribe to The Thirsty Mage on your podcast app of choice, so you won't miss the upcoming Final Fantasy VII episode.